Denny, do you feel like there's any sort of a odds-on or a natural favorite this year, where there may have been in past years towards the championship?
It's just too hard to predict because it's unpredictable. Again, you would think of the 4 or 5 fastest cars, at least probably 3 of them will make it into the Final Four, but there's just no guarantees. I do think, though, this 10 race of tracks should produce, a sample size enough to where you're gonna see the cars that have good speed get the points and move on. But I don't know. I wish I could tell you how this thing goes, because I thought I've known for 19 years, and I just never know, because I've seen it all. I've seen anything that you think might happen usually does, and you're either on the good end of it or the bad end of it.
Do you expect to make the championship?
Yeah, it's the goal at the beginning of the year is to make the championship 4. To do that, obviously you got to put in some work in the regular season, and you got to perform well in the playoffs. And I think our record in the playoffs speaks for itself. Our average finish drops every year in the playoffs. We run better every year in the final 10 than what we do during the regular season. It's just a matter of all the other variables. Does someone who's way below the cut that run horrible, do they win and get in and knock us out, or does someone ride the wall and knock us out? Like, it just, again, I'm so tainted that I'm just very nonchalant with, like, let's just win races and let's see where this thing ends up.
There was a point in the season where fuel strategy was determining like every race winning for like a couple months.
Because track position.
Yeah,
track position is just so big, and so it's turned every race into a fuel mileage, or it did there for a while. A lot of it is just really the focus being on track position and no one wanting to give it up, because passing has become more and more difficult over the last few years.
Do you think that's going to be a theme through the playoffs?
Well, I think that it just depends on the situation. But I say that people will most likely be fighting for track position more than they have during the regular season, because they know that the end is near if they don't.
How much more tuned to mileage and calculations, fuel saving, all that stuff are you now? 10
I'm less, I'm the same as I used to be, but the team, it's more of a focus for them than it's ever been.
And you just sort of have to just trust them, whatever they
You do. You can't beat the supercomputer. So as much as you think you know, as much as you try to tell your team how much fuel you're saving, ultimately the computers know and you don't. So you just try to do the best you can to do your job, and that is, if they tell you to go all out, get all the speed you can. If it's you're told to save fuel, you have to do it the best of your ability, and there are some obviously that are better than others.
What do you, Denny? Do you think that I'm not asking you to talk about the lawsuit specifically? Do you think as this goes on and it's heating up and it's getting closer, are you treated fairly, and is 2311 treated fairly?
I think we are treated fairly by the NASCAR officials that are at the racetrack, yes.
So who maybe isn't treating you fairly?
The others.
The others. Does it affect you, or
no? It just makes me angrier.
Makes you angrier. Okay. How do you tune that out and focus on your job?
Because I want to win a championship. I want to win 60 or more races, and so that is my number one goal. And so I'm not going to let anyone distract me from that, even no matter what their motivations might be.
Because others maybe are not treating you guys equally or fairly. Can you guys win a championship, you and 2311?
Yeah,
Okay.
Because I believe that people at track treat us very fairly.
Is it a surprise that the lawsuits dragged out this long since it was first announced?
No surprise.
And going into the final 10 races, what do you feel is your biggest strength and your biggest weakness right now? I guess as team, driver, so on.
Yeah, strengths, I said anything that turns left, we're going to be fast and strong at. But, weaknesses could be, tough days on pit road. I mean, I've had that last few years. It seems like, there's just that one race where it's like, oh, you're really, really fast, but we just have a bad day on pit road. If we can avoid that, we're all good. And so weaknesses has been just not finishing as good as we're running. and at some point, and usually it comes in the third round, you've got to finish really well.
Last year during the first round, I believe you mentioned that about 75 points was the magic number to advance. Is that something you're thinking about, or is it?
No, it's not. My goal is just to win Darlington and not worry about the rest. And but I'm so week to week. Yes, over years past, I've gotten to where I'm like, okay, a certain amount of points will get you on, but that's been when there's been tracks that have, like Atlanta, that have like a lot of variables to it. So what is my safest play to move on? Not these first 3 tracks. These are pretty straightforward and tracks where I feel like, the 11 team will excel.
And for the Southern 500, how much different does this goes into the setup for this race compared to the April, where it's 100 miles longer, day to night, and so on?
The baseline is pretty close to the same, but you'll tweak it for certainly these conditions. It'll be a little different. We race kind of in the different time of the day. We're going to be in the night here. So I think that there's a lot of things that we always tweak when we go into the Southern 500 versus where we are in the spring. And not only that, but there's evolution of the cars as well to continue to get better. So you got to always, pivot, and you can't bolt in what you had before. You're not going to be successful.
And 4 wins, entering one of the highest seeds. You seem to keep getting better with age. Do you feel like this is the most prepared you've entered the playoffs in your career?
It's certainly as strong as I've felt. I've had other years I felt very, very strong. But, sometimes things don't go your way. And so I cautiously optimistic about, our speed. We're one of the very handful of cars. There's no more than 4 or 5 that are fast every single week. We just hope we're one of those teams that moves on to the Final Four and doesn't have misfortune.
Thanks, Denny.